Investing your mind is the most valuable thing that you can do with your money. Here are my top 5 personal finance or self-development books that have changed my mindset for the better. The first book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, I know the title is not very exciting. This book landed on my lap very early in my career. The author, Dale Carnegie, wrote the book as a textbook to accompany a course that he was teaching in New York called Effective Speaking and Human Relations, which is basically a book to teach men and women how to deal with people in business. A very important skill set to have. One of my favorite parts of the book is part 2, where he speaks about the 6 principles on how to make people like you. Off the jump, here are the 6 principles. I'm not gonna delve into them because that would take too long. One of my favorite quotes from the book is, remember that the people you are talking to are 100 times more interested in themselves and their wants and problems than they are in you and your problems. Think of that the next time you start a conversation. That quote alone has completely changed the way that I communicate with people, especially when I meet them for the very first time. I cannot recommend the book enough, so be sure to check it out. Moving along to my second book, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is another book that was published during the Great Depression, about the same time as Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book is a research compilation of the 500 or so interviews that Napoleon Hill did over a span of 25 years. Some of the people that he interviewed included Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Charles Schwab, just to name a few. What he wanted to learn was the traits that they all had in common. This book has really changed the way that I approach how I can make my goals a reality. For instance, some people might say, I want to make a lot of money, but it's not good enough for you to say you want to make a lot of money. You have to ask yourself, how much do you want to make? And then you have to also take into consideration, what are you willing to give up? Because there's really no such thing as getting something for nothing. And then you also have to ask yourself, when do you want to accomplish this goal? Because you don't want it to be this vague goal floating in the future. You also want to come up with a detailed plan of how you're going to accomplish that goal. And then once you have a plan, get cracking. Don't waste another minute. There's a lot more to the book than goal setting. You just have to get the book and read it yourself. So that is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. My third book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This is the most sold book in the personal finance space. Robert Kiyosaki has written other books as well, but this is the only book of his that I actually finished. I don't know why, but I just have a really hard time finishing his other books. I think they are a little bit repetitive with this book. In the book, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the importance of having financial intelligence and how children aren't really taught in the classroom the importance of saving money and investing for the future. His real dad is an overeducated man with a PhD, but always really struggled to make ends meet. So that's the poor dad in the book. And then his second dad is actually his friend Mike's dad, who never finished 8th grade but was able to run multiple successful businesses and always had money to donate to charity. And when his friend Mike's dad passed away, he was able to leave a legacy to his children. Robert Kiyosaki ended up working for his friend's dad, and if you haven't already guessed it, he is the rich dad in the story. One of the things that he stresses in the book is knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. So to keep it simple, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. For example, a lot of people think that the house that they live in is an asset, but it's actually a liability. Your monthly mortgage payment is the biggest expense that is taken away from your income every single month for 30 years. Now, if you're able to find tenants and rent out part of your home, then your house is then considered an asset because then it's producing income for you. In order to reach financial independence, you have to learn how to reinvest your excess income into income producing assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, so that your dollars become little employees that work for you while you sleep. This will make a lot more sense if you read the book, so just get the book and read it. My fourth book is another American classic, and that is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. This is a very quick and easy book to finish. I only have an audio copy of the book. The book is so old that you can probably find a free PDF version of it on the internet. Just don't sue me if there's copyright issues with your download. I recommend that you get the updated version for the 21st century so that you're not reading old English like thou shalt save money or something like that. Even though the book is set in ancient Babylon, the wisdom that you're going to learn from the book is timeless and still very much relevant in today's economy, where we are just trying to live on less. As I think about the way that I was spending money in my 20s, I really do wish that this book landed in my lap earlier in my life. If you're someone who's just starting out in your career or you're looking to cut back in your spending, I highly recommend that you pick up a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. The final book that I recommend is The Practice by Seth Godin. The book was just released in 2020 and it's very much applicable to this new creator economy that has just boomed in the last few years. I only have an audio copy of this book as well. I absolutely love the book. Seth Godin is the marketing king. He really knows how to speak to your heart because he's been through it all. If you get a chance, I really recommend that you watch some of his interviews on YouTube. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he's done a lot of interviews to promote his books, and you're going to learn as much from his interviews as you are from reading his books. He also has two other books that I recommend, and they are This is Marketing and Linchpin. In the book, The Practice, Seth Godin speaks about the importance of shipping your creative work to the public, even though it can be very scary to put yourself out there. He said that when you ship your work to the public, you then get feedback, and then from the feedback, you can then improve your work for next time. Even though the book is targeting an audience that is in the creative field, I still think this book is very much relevant for people who are looking to create change and trying something new for the very first time that we may not know if it's going to work or not. I absolutely love The Practice by Seth Godin, so be sure to check it out. I will leave the links to all the books I mentioned in the description below. I hope you found some value out of this video. If so, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now!